Hello everybody, Sky Roylance is back for the next episode in Go for Beginners. Today we're going to show you the basic opening moves, opening strategies, and some beginner mistakes. Some things to watch out for as you're playing so that you can, essentially just start playing better than you might. You can begin to recognize things. So remember last time, we talked about the point of the game is to capture territory. That is your end goal. Your goal is to capture territory, not to capture pieces so much, but to surround territory and keep it for yourself. Now, how you do this is mainly up to you, but any Go player will tell you that the best way to start the game in order to meet this end of capturing territory is to play the corners. Alright? Almost every game you'll see, the opening sequence looks something like this. Almost every game that you see will be situated something like this. It may, there may be stones switched or, it's not always going to be the exact patterns, but it's always going to look something like this. Because Go players understand that the corners are the easiest places to capture territory. And they can, depending on how well you play your corners, those can be the deciding factors of the game. You capture the corners and keep your opponent from doing the same thing. That is what essentially will help you win. You'll be such a much better player if you understand that concept right now. Just understand that the corners are important. Why? Because two of the walls are already set up for you. You see, here in the center, in order to capture territory, you've got to completely surround it with your own stones. Alright? Here, it took me 4 stones to capture 1 spot. Okay? And then here, it takes me 6 stones to capture 2 spots. But, if I take the same amount of stones, 6 stones, and build them off of this point here, okay, I'll need 1 more. I'll need 7. Using 7 stones, I've captured 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 7 stones to capture 12 spots. While out here in the middle, I was placing 6 to capture 2. Can you understand how important this is? The corners are where you'll get the most stones. Now, if I shift some stones a little bit, that's 2 more spots right there. Now, I know that diagonals, I said diagonals don't count, earlier. But in this case, even though these are technically 3 different units, and this is a somewhat weaker shape, because these guys can be captured in less turns than it would if we connected them all up together. Just by, if we place stones here and here, all these guys would be connected together and it'd be that much harder to capture. But even so, this bit of territory here in the corner is still mine. That is my corner, my territory. No one's going to take it from me. Because black cannot move from here, cannot, even if they played there, yes, they may weaken my shape, but they still have no influence over these points because they're not actually connected to them. So it's important to remember the liberties, the connecting lines is what counts, not the diagonals, but this is still considered captured area. I'm sorry if I just completely threw you for a loop there, but just, you'll get it. Again, sorry. You'll understand as you go. But yeah, so I just captured 14 just by shifting those stones a little bit. And then I can still even shift this shape some more And even though this is a really kind of weak shape, trust me, this is never what you want to see. Even so, I just captured even more territory with the same amount of stones because these corners count as 2 of the walls. I don't have to fill these sides with my stones in order to capture this area. So the corners, that's why you will always see the corners are played at the beginning of the game. The first 4 moves are always declaring your corners. That's important to remember. That's very important to remember as you're playing. Okay. It's a little nice. There we go. So, you're capturing corners. In the beginning of the game, that's what's very important. Now, one of the biggest mistakes that beginners will make, though, is that they think they have to keep pieces. They have to try to make their shapes a good, strong shape, make them impenetrable to, you know, the enemy. Make them impenetrable. Because really, this is going to be hard for black to try to capture, because there are so many liberties that black is going to devote so many stones to this area that it's just going to be quite ridiculous, you know, for black to do. But that's wasted movement. It's called slow movement by, it's called being slow by a lot of professionals. They'll call these safe moves, like if I had a stone, if I had a stone to place, like let's say this is what the shape looked like, and I had a stone to place, if I placed it here, they would consider that a slow move, because I may be strengthening this, but I just used a stone. I just used one more stone to capture the same amount of territory. If I place it here, though, even though there isn't a connection, this is still all mine, and I didn't have to use one more stone, because if I did this, these are still not captured yet. Then I would have to place a stone here. Now they're captured, but where else could that stone have been used? One thing you have to understand, it kind of seems ridiculous, but a single stone can change a game. I've seen it happen in professional games. I've studied a couple professional Japanese games, and trust me, man, a single stone can just absolutely change it. So do not make the mistake of thinking that you have to solidify and make the perfect shape at the very beginning. When you're starting, you don't have to do that. Instead, influence what you're doing. Now, maybe even do that. Now, even though this isn't going to be the greatest shape yet, I'm still keeping them somewhat close enough that if black decides that he wants to try to interrupt me, I can still cross him a little bit, keep my positions safe, and he would still be kind of on the outside of the corner. And even if he tried attacking here, as long as I played it right, if I play my pieces right, black will eventually just kind of smother himself, you know, since he's in my area. Eventually, now it looks like black is in kind of a good position here. But eventually, as this is played, black will eventually die. As long as white plays good, as long as white plays well, black will eventually die. Now, that was just a sequence of moves. Don't let it get too bothered. Don't be too bothered by it if you didn't follow that. This is kind of showing you that black still would have died anyway. So, when you're playing, don't be afraid to kind of be a little greedy. Sometimes you don't want to be too, you don't want to go for too much, but don't be afraid to extend yourself out And say if this was the situation here and it was white's turn, actually the best kind of move is to go out like this, because you're setting what's called a base. I'll get to that more later. I'll get more of that later. But this is actually a really, really good move. Something that you always want to look for and you want to do. Now, another situation that you always need to be careful of is called Shi Cho. Shi Cho translates to ladder. Yeah. So, a ladder is an inescapable, is something that is a shape that is totally inescapable. Now, if it's black's turn and black plays here, he has just started what is called the Shi Cho. Because if white tries to play here, black can play here. White tries to escape. Black can play there. White tries to play there. Black plays there. White plays there. Black plays there. You see, this is going to be a never-ending sequence until it gets all the way down here. Eventually, these guys are going to be captured. If you ever see this shape and you're white, forget about it. Don't even try to escape out this way. If you don't want that stone to die, then do something else. But don't try to extend down this way. It's not going to work. It's impossible to escape from this. As long as black continues to play the right alternating moves, you'll never get out of that. It's an impossible shape. So, just understand that. This shape happens a lot. A lot. It just, sometimes it's not even planned. Stones maybe just shaped like this. You know, just maybe in this kind of a position. White plays there, black plays there, and then afterwards black plays there. They may not have even been really intending. Because, like, for an example, you know, this could have been the situation earlier, and maybe white had a bunch of stones over here or something, and it wanted to threaten. Well, if black plays here, these 4 stones are still in that Shi Cho pattern, and then white is not going to be able to escape from this. So this shape happens. Keep an eye out for 3 stones with 1 extending down like this, because that is a dangerous situation that white is not going to be able to escape from as long as black plays correctly. And you don't want your opponent to capture all of your pieces. Now, let's see. What's another beginner mistake? Yes. I remember now. So, in this game, the corners, again, like I said, are extraordinarily important, as we discussed earlier. Now, let's say that white has... Actually, let's make this even tighter here. Now, let's say that black has... well, let's just say that this is the situation. Black is trying somehow to not only capture some of this corner, but keep white from doing the same thing. Unless black, though, makes the correct moves, there is nothing he can do here. He's just going to kill himself. He's going to get himself captured eventually with this. Unless he's really smart and knows how to maneuver around here, there's nothing he can do. Those stones are going to die. Now you see, this is something that's going to require more elaboration later. It's a little bit of a complicated idea. But at the end of a game, there is such thing as stones that are alive and stones that are dead. These stones here, if the game ended right now, these 2 black stones would be called dead. Why? Because they're not doing anything. They have no life. They're going to be captured. So, at the end of the game, if stones are dead, you just take them off the board as if they had been captured. What beginners try to do, though, let's say if I'm a beginner black, what a lot of players try to do is they keep trying to force themselves to be alive, to do something, to capture territory, when all they're really doing is giving white more to feed on. Even if black does this, unless white can do something, unless black can somehow capture these stones or breach this or do something else, these are still dead. And instead of only having the 2 earlier, there's now 5. White is now got 5 stones by the end of the game. That's a huge mistake that a lot of beginners make. Don't make that mistake. No matter what you do, don't make that mistake. Just get that into your heads now, guys. Now, the mistake that white might make, though, is they might waste stones trying to capture these. Because they don't want black being there. They don't want black there. They think they have to capture them. They think they have to get rid of them. You don't have to do that. Because now you just took away several spots of your own territory for only 2 stones. For only 2 points that you would have had at the end of the game anyway. If you hadn't had played this, if you hadn't had made that mistake, white, then you would have still have captured these 2 stones at the end of the game anyway, and retained 2, 4, 6, 8 points. Instead, the other way, you've only had 4. So, just understand that. Don't make these mistakes. Those are beginner mistakes that everyone makes and that you probably still will make, but just try to get yourself out of the habit. Don't make unnecessary moves. If it doesn't have to happen, don't make it. Just understand that. Don't make unnecessary moves, guys. So, and just always keep your eyes out for what is necessary and what isn't. And you'll learn more about that as we go. You'll learn more about, what are the right moves to make, when is the right time to get away from a situation, and so on. So, recap. Corners are easier to capture than the center. They're even sides, they have the 1 wall, are easier to capture than the center still. Corners, sides, then walls. That should be your priorities. The next thing to keep your eyes out for is the typical Shicho shape. Impossible to escape. Don't let yourself get captured in this. If you do, don't waste your time trying to escape. It's not going to happen. And then don't make wasted moves. Don't make any moves that are unnecessary. That is the surefire way to get yourself killed in this game. So just with that, you guys now have a basic knowledge to be able to actually be able to start play. Next time I'm going to talk about the rule of Ko, and then if I can find some, I'm also going to show you some life and death sequences and help you understand more about what life and death is. Because that's pretty important as well. But you guys now have a decent idea of what to do and how to play. Hopefully I've done my job right. If not, please ask questions in the comments. I am more than willing to answer anything that you need to, or send you links to other places, to other websites, where that can give you better information. So, yep, you guys are good to go now. And I'll see you later. Like I said, next time we're going to talk about the rule of Ko, some life and death, and get you guys more on your way. So, congratulations, you now know the beginning steps, and we're going to keep going until you can walk on your own. Sky Roylance signing out.